There was another part of my roller coaster. I got a call from my parents, and we've had a very rocky relationship. They were going to come and visit me for a month. I hung up the phone. My throat was parched. My hands were cold, and I was scared. So I called my sponsor, and she said, well, you can put them up in a hotel, you can tell them no, or you can have them in your home. You have choices. And up to that point, I would repair the relationship with the steps. I'd go visit. There would be somebody's feelings were hurt within a couple of days, and then I'd have to finish the trip somewhere else, and I'd get sober 3-4 more years. Well, now I know I can do this, and I'd go back and be the same pattern. But that time, it was not me going over there to try to get their approval, to try to find the relationship that I wanted with them. It was them coming to me, and perhaps God had a hand in this. And so I decided to take the steps instead, to do a 4-step and invite them into my home. And what I found out was that I still felt superior to them. I was still judging them and criticizing them. And I was also afraid of my dad's criticism, and I was afraid of my mom's anger and silences, and because of that, I was a doormat with them. And so I presented that to my sponsor after making this appointment, and I said, listen, they're going to be here in 2 weeks. Let's meet right away, and that will give God about a week or so to remove enough of my defects so they can enjoy their trip. It was about them that time, not about me. And during the time that I had left, I put a lot of perfume love in my home and fresh flowers for my mom, and bought my dad's favorite candies. And they came home, and my dad criticized the carrots. And then I knew I would have to address this because there is something wrong with the chef. You know, the kind of criticism. And then he criticized again, and I said, you know, Daddy, I don't like criticism, so I'm going to let Mom cook for you. I have never cooked for that man again. And then with my mom, when I picked them up, I wanted to hug her, and she recoiled from me, as she always does, and normally that would hurt my feelings. But that time I understood that my mother is filled with self-loathing. She does not want to be touched by anyone, and I let it roll off my back. And about 2 weeks later, she was sitting on the couch, and I was laying there with my head on her lap, and she was caressing my hair. And this is the healing of Alcoholics Anonymous. When at 52 I met this husband of mine, and you know, they say we practice these principles in all our affairs, and my husband and I certainly have had an affair. But I'm a fling kind of a girl. You know, I like lovers. And the most wonderful thing about them is that they come and they go. But husbands, mine anyway, he comes over every night. I wake up in the morning and he's still there. Day after day after day. Husbands have nowhere to go. As much as I love him and as much as I want to be with him, but that's my own wild, untamed nature. I spend my sobriety alone in that little house. A lot of that time with my little Misty, me and the dog. I don't know how to be with somebody on a daily basis, with those lovers or friends. If they did something I didn't like, or I did something they didn't like, we just split and we didn't have to face each other again. But there it was. They say if you want to find out about your character defects, you just get in a relationship. And, you know, if I'm mad, I don't want to talk. 3, 4, 5 days. I can't. I did not know how to express myself. And I believe that God knew that I had such a sick background. I was taught such sick ways that I would have to have quite a bit of sobriety in my belly so that I could face myself and learn those things. And that wonderful man was patient enough to wait. And you know, when my parents came and visited me, my father eventually said, "You have changed so much, I can hardly recognize you." And then it was a time to do that with my husband. And I did my 4-step, and I had about 14 resentments. And next to that, 17 of my character defects, so he won that one. And then, well, it's time to make my amends, and then I realized the harm that I had caused that man with my behavior. And I was sorrowful, and my amends were sincere. But I also know that he was doing his 4-step as well. So I got me some amends coming too. But they were not coming. So I wait 2-3 more weeks. Said, "Aren't you going to meet with your sponsor? He's on vacation." All right. I wait 2-3 more weeks. It's a long vacation. And finally, he met with his sponsor, but no amends. 2-3 more weeks. And I said, "Wait a minute, yesterday when you said you'd been selfish and self-centered, were those your amends?" He said, "Yes." I said, "That's puny." You know, I wanted him on one knee, maybe writing a check, or, no, I love those loving amends, you know, living, loving, but that's just not the way that it is. And so I'm learning to accept the way things are and to change myself, which is all that I can do. And I do that with the steps, including prayer and meditation. Meditation is quite a sport. I have bought all the books on Sandy's list, and I've read at least 2/3 of them. But this is just like reading about muscle building. You know, buying all the books, understanding everything about the human body and doing all the right diet. But until you actually start pumping iron, you're not going to see any results. So reading all the books is wonderful, but eventually I have to sit. I just have to sit. And the first time, I was sober just a little bit, and my sponsor said 20 minutes. And so I put the images on the wall, and I'm burning incense and candle, and I got the kitchen timer over there for 20 minutes, and I sit on the floor and I cross my legs, and then I heard a fly buzz around, and then a dog barking out in the street, and then the refrigerator was humming, and I'm thinking about the ice cream I'm going to have as soon as I'm done. And I began to rehearse what I'm going to tell that jerk the next time I see him. Then I was wondering how I would pay my rent at the end of the month, which was in 3 weeks. My shoulder is starting to itch, and I can't scratch it because I can't move, and then my leg is going numb. I opened my eye, and it was 1.5 minutes. 25 years later, I had another meditation. And that morning, it was about, "Dear God, talk to me. I'm here, and I'm waiting." Silence. I heard birds sing, followed with, "I am those birds." I had a big smile on my face, and it made me so joyful. Silence. One of my little dogs barked, followed with, "I am that dog." Oh, wow, God is loving me through my dogs too. Silence. Followed with, "And I am John." The whoa, ho, 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 that's my husband. And so I reflected upon that. And God loves me through nature, through animals, through you. My husband is not God. But God is my husband. God takes care of me through that wonderful man. And God takes care of him through me. We all love each other. We're all blessed. There are gifts everywhere. In between those two meditations was 25 years of practice to the best of my ability. My head, at last, is somewhat of a peaceful, gentle, loving place. I think only time and Alcoholics Anonymous can give us that. I know it's one day at a time. We're in the moment. But as sick as I was, it took that long for me to truly experience peace and connection with other human beings. How to be of service, how to be useful. Dear God, use me today, whichever way you'd like. And that little voice talked to me as well when I wanted to divorce my husband on a monthly basis, because that's the way I think. I'm out of there. I've done that for 55 years. It has nothing to do with him. This is just me. And the voice in here said, Lynn, if you can't work it out with him, you won't work it out with anybody. This is about you. And I saw myself in my 70s on Match.com. Let's meet at Starbucks for tea and soft cookie. I'll be the one with the animal print walker. And it gave me the willingness that I needed. If you look at your options. My husband has 2 children from a previous marriage. They live back east. And when we met